microphone plugged in, so then I was worried that it wasn't actually recording. So it turns out it was just with my computer microphone, but it probably wasn't as good quality. So back to this, we were talking about the short-term assets, the title not being the proper height or type. So what I'm going to do, I'll make the subcategory let's just try out making it camel case, so short-term assets. That way we can pass it around as props a little bit easier. It won't cause issues. There could be times where that happens. Then in the add form, what I'm going to do is use Lodash. I'm just going to see if I have Lodash installed. I don't have it pulled in. And then I'll use the start case. And so I'm going to go under dot start case of a subcategory. And then that should convert it back into a nice format. So let's see if that worked. Oh, it's slow. I'm sorry to be wasting your time. Okay, so we've got that. It is connected here. We've got that from Lodash, so I don't know why it's giving me issues. There we go. Okay, so we were able to convert it from a camel case to this nice with the titles. Perfect. We've also got the proper name that we want. We want to take out the amortization because this is only if it is debt. Now, what I'm curious about, do all debt ones, so unsecured and secured, both have this amortization option? So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to have it be based on the category. So if I go into this section, I'll do a little ternary operator, and I'll do category equals liability. If so, then render this nice one, else null. Let's see what that does. Great. So now it's gone. And then the next thing we want to do is change the color. And then this little ring down here. So the color is going to be based, let's see, I could pass it in and then do this super badass ternary operator down here. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to hard code them in. I like being able to call from the themes. So let's think about how we're going to do that. If I push the color directly into the header section, so if I pass it into here as props, then I can access it in my down here styled components. So I will just do that. I'm just going to try this out. We'll go header. What we're going to do is I'm going to pass it in the subcategory. This is going to be passed into header. And then I'll go like this, subcategory equals subcategory. So this is going now into my header. Now, what's cool with styled components is I can now grab that here, and I'm going to say background. And background is going to be props do. So props dot subcategory equals. In this case, it is short-term assets. If it does, then I want it to be that bluey color. Let's see, did I have the bluey color in here yet? No, in this one I didn't. I'll just go, I think it's just blue. So back over to here. If it's that, then it's going to be props.themecolor.blue. And then for now, I'm just going to say else null. And we're just going to see if that works. So background, if the subcategory is short-term assets, it'll be blue. Nice. Perfect. So then finally what we have to do is this selector here. And I think I'm going to send in the selector options also as props from up in the wizard up here. So I'm going to go into my initial short-term assets and find that array that I had used. So I used checking account. So I'm just going to call the whole thing array. Ooh, that's not a very good name. I'll change it. So we're going to go into wizard, and then I'll call it account type array equals, I'll take this array as just too bland of a title. Now we're going to pull this in to our add form. So it's called the account type array. And we're going to look into here. Where did we make use of that array? It was going into the choose one. So the array is, okay, so choose one wants an item called array, but in this case, ooh, it's missing a T. I'm going to go back over to here, account type array. Great, so back to here. Oh, and we haven't destructured it in, so we're going to pull this in here. And fingers crossed. Nice. So we can scroll down. So now we can select things, and we can do the interest rate. So I'm going to say the checking account. I'm going to call it checking account. I'll say TD Bank. And then cash value, say you've got $4,700, tiny interest rate from TD. Add. Now we're going to check our reducer and see if it added it. Oop. See, here's the issue. I somewhere along the line named it assets instead of asset. So we're going to have to change that. Yeah, that's a bit of an issue. I kind of go back and forth between calling it assets and asset, but I think I'll call it assets, plural. So I'm going to have to change that in the reducer. So let's just see. This was added, and then all these details we have about a current value. We don't care about the current value. Oh no, we do. The book value, we don't care. Amortization, start date, we don't care. But it's all there in case we need it. So assets, I'm going to change this in the reducer. I'm going to go down just because that way, the main reason is I want it to be able to say assets up here, not asset. So I'm going to make that change into the reducer. So I'm going to go down into Redux, into reducer for the net worth. And this will be called assets. And I'm also going to call this liabilities. Now, anytime I change the reducer, everything gets super messed up unless I clear my application security. So, or not security, my stored state. So let's do that. Clear the state. Because then it's just keeping the old reducer information as well. That's stored in the local storage. And it just makes for this big mess. So now we've got a bit of an issue, but we will figure this out together. So property name selector is create selector. Oh, so all my selectors now are looking for asset. So I'm just going to go into my selectors, change everything that says asset to assets, and hope that, oh, and then I've got to do the same thing with liability. Great. Okay, so now if we go, we'll go savings account, and we'll say TD savings, cash value, certain something there, interest rate, tiny, add, go into our reducer, check it out, any changes. So we've got a new asset, the ID, then we've got the category is assets, label, TD savings, boom, we're in business. All right, so here we are for this first one. I'll then start walking through how we're going to connect all the other ones. Great. Okay,